ฝันอยู่ในใจอาจจะเป็นรักที่ยิ่งใหญ่และสิ่งนั้นช่างมีค่าสำคัญกว่าเรื่องใดหากว่าเราจะค้นหาจนเหนื่อยล้าอย่าไปเสียใจกับความฝันมันไม่เคยจะทำให้ท้อใจกูเรามีหนทางอื่นที่จะไปให้ถึงยังจุดหมายถึงที่ว่างในใจเติมไฟให้เต็มจะรักษาโลกให้มันดูสดใสด้วยรักที่สวยงามเพื่อเธอและฉันและคนทั่วไปไม่มีผู้คนต้องล้มตาย
สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome Good evening นะคะต้อนรับทุกท่านเข้าสู่ Cofact Live Talk Welcome everyone to Cofact Live Talk Tonight Sunday evening is very special because today we observe the so-called World Peace Day or International Day of Peace which of course around the world full of conflict, tension and war here and there and it's ongoing somewhere in Gaza which become our topic today. We're focusing on dying for truth in Gaza, which is the plight of reporters and journalists that dying 100 or more than, which we'll be discussing our topic of today. And please welcome our moderator special guest tonight, Kunteef and Kittipat Cheunsukjit from Thai Baseball from spending Sunday evening with us. สวัสดีค่ะ Kunteef.
สวัสดีครับ very welcome having time with this valuable topic to talk about in this International Peace Day, right?
Yes, actually I should say Happy Peace Day, but
Happy Peace Day.
the situation is not so happy, but somehow we wish for the best and pray for the world to be a better place in terms of peaceful resolution. And especially the topic we focus on today is the dying for truth in Gaza. The topic seems, but somehow it's reality, right? We will focus on what's happening. Yes, and especially
what's happening.
And Kunteef, you are a reporter and journalist as well. I am a former journalist in the past, and we're focusing on fact-checking and fact-checker. We know how value the truth is, and in order to get the truth in the conflict zone, it costs life, especially in Gaza. So this is topic today, and welcome everyone to join us in our live talk. And today we have a special guest from our partner reporter with our border. Thank you so much for joining us. Kunteef, maybe you introduce our special guest tonight.
All right, so thank you very much, Kun Supinya. So here I'm very welcome Mr. Arthur Rochereau, French reporter from the RSF, the Reporters Without Borders, which is the global press freedom organization working to protect journalists and fight impunity. Can I say that?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kittipat. Thank you, Supinya, and to the whole team for inviting me. I'm very happy to join you for this live talk to discuss an important discussion on the International Day of Peace.
Yep. Actually, the conflict zones are places where facts are contested. Evidence is also fragile, and rumors can escalate violence. So it's come to today's topic because journalists become the public's eyes and ears, and we documenting attacks on civilians. So actually in Gaza, the journalist works under the extraordinary situation. Yep. They have the heavy bombardment, they have the displacement, some of them lost colleagues and severe shortage of power connectivity because it's war zone. And electricity is quite not the same in our city, like we are in Bangkok. And where are you right now, Arthur?
I'm currently in Taipei.
In Taipei, yeah, I heard that that typhoon is heading to Taipei right now.
Yeah. It might be hitting the south of the Taiwan tomorrow, actually.
Okay, so I hope you pass this easily. So on this International Day of Peace, our conversation will be focusing on the human cost, on the why does truth telling on the ground matter, And also, how does this information increase danger, and what is being done by RSF? And also, how can general public can seek for the justice? All right. So, firstly, we can talk about the current situation. What is the latest tally and condition of journalists in Gaza killed, injured, detained, or missing right now from RSF information?
Well, so RSF, as the press freedom watchdog, we are monitoring the situation everywhere in the world, and currently particularly in Gaza. And well, the situation right now for journalists in Gaza is nothing short of catastrophic. Since the beginning of the conflict on 7th October 2023, RSF has documented the death of at least 220 journalists killed in Gaza. So basically, right now, Palestine is the most dangerous area in the world for journalists.
In the world.
Yeah. The journalists there, they are subjected to airstrikes, to sniper fire, artillery shelling, and sometimes even if they are identifiable as press members with the press vests. So also what we observe at RSF is that journalists in Gaza are deliberately targeted. From the 220 journalists who have been killed since October 2023, we have documented at least 56 cases where the journalists were targeted by the Israeli army or even killed while doing their job. So we do monitor these attacks, these killings. It's a difficult work, but it's necessary. And yeah, absolutely necessary to report on the terrible conditions in which journalists now work in Gaza, and also to pay tribute to them. Last month, on the 10th of August, there was an attack. The Israeli army killed 6 journalists in a very targeted attack against the journalists.
Again.
And among them was a correspondent from the media Al Jazeera. His name is Anas Al-Sharif, and he was attacked near a hospital in Gaza. And the Israeli army had previously labeled him with a terrorist affiliation, but they never proved the evidence. So this is an outrageous strategy by the army to depict journalists as terrorists, to them, in them because of the work they do. They are targeted because they do share free information to the world about what's happening currently in Gaza. So it's important to also to stress that right now in Gaza, it's local journalists, Palestinian journalists, who are the victims of these attacks. And the reason for that is simple, is because since October 2023, Israeli authorities have banned the foreign journalists to enter the territory. So foreign media cannot access to Gaza, cannot report on the ground. There's a total media blackout currently happening. And the local journalists, Palestinian journalists, are the ones who are under attack. They are the only one right now who are able to inform us on the ground about what's happening. And they work under terrible conditions. I mentioned the 220 journalists killed so far, but it's not only the human cost, it's beyond that. The working conditions for journalism in Gaza are terrible. Many journalists have been wounded. They are displaced all the time. They are subjected to constant threats. Their newsrooms, the facilities they work in are targeted as well. We have documented more than 50 media that have been completely or partially destroyed. And many journalists also have been arrested. Currently, dozens of journalists, of Palestinian journalists, are in prisons. Sometimes they can even be tortured during their detention. So yeah, this vision is very dark. the journalists, even those who are not detained, they are trapped in Gaza. They cannot leave the territory. They have no shelter. They lack everything. They lack water, food, like other citizens, and they can be attacked, harassed by Israeli forces. Many journalists also have lost their homes. So, yeah, their work is very, very precarious. Not even mentioning also the as you mentioned, the internet cuts, because internet in Gaza is often cut, and without internet nowadays it's very difficult for journalists to report on what's happening in the country. But however, these local journalists, they continue to risk their life for us to know and to understand better what's happening currently in Gaza, and that's also why we are here discussing this, why we do support the journalists in Gaza, and why we also request protection, evacuation, and international support for them to continue their work, basically.
So can we say that this is the biggest amount of death toll of journalists in the world history? Can we say that?
So about the figures, it's difficult to say because it depends on the definition you give to a journalist, but for sure it's the deadliest record, at least since the Second World War II. But yeah, currently the toll is terrible. Well, yeah, what I mentioned, the 220 journalists killed at RSF since the organization exists since 1985. Never we had observed such atrocities. So at least what I can say for RSF's figures is that never we had observed this.
Yeah. Even there are many conflicts, many war zones in the world right now, in many geopolitical areas, but nowhere is like in Gaza that cost a lot of lives of journalists already until today.
Yeah. And it's, nowadays
even the Russia, Ukraine.
Very difficult, but yeah, this situation where we have so many conflicts. Mentioned Ukraine, there is war in Sudan, in Yemen, in Myanmar as well. And all of these conflicts, what we observe is that actually the journalists are more and more targeting because of their work. I think it's something also changing in the war conflict nowadays, is that because of their work, the journalists are more and more targeted. But nowhere in the world journalists are targeted as they are in Gaza.
Yeah. So we've been talking about the human cost, and next let's move to the importance of truth, because what I've been knowing is a lot of them who was telling the truth lost their lives already. So that's the importance of the truth. So why is it crucial for journalists to be on the ground conflict zone, especially when their lives are at such high risk?
Yeah, it's an essential topic. We need journalists to be on the ground, especially in conflict situation. Basically, without journalists, it's impossible to be informed and truly understand conflicts that are happening around the world. And journalists are at the forefront of this conflict. The journalists, they are the eyes and the ears of the world.
Yeah.
They ensure that us, the citizens, we can access accurate first-hand information. Otherwise, we know that the information coming from militaries can be distorted, can be manipulated, or even silenced. Nowadays, we can be informed. We see many information on social media platforms as well, but we know that social media platforms are flooded with this information. It's very difficult to distinguish what is true or false on social media when we don't know the users. So it's essential to rely on the media and the reporters on the social media to inform us. The media nowadays, the people we should trust to give us first-hand information.
Yeah.
And in war zone, especially like Gaza, but everywhere in Ukraine, Myanmar as well, the independent reporting is a very vital check against propaganda and disinformation from all sides, because wartime is the most fertile ground for propaganda.
Yeah. Actually, having the on-ground reporter is not a luxury thing. It's an essential thing. Yeah, because for me, there being accountability, and also they help humanitarian efforts and show the world what really happening. So I know the risks are huge, but losing the truth is even costlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
Okay.
that's why I think we should praise these journalists for their bravery. They work in terrible conditions, as I just mentioned, but they are the one who make the human cost nowadays visible. Without the journalists, we would have no idea what is the civilian suffering, the destroyed infrastructures, the violation of international law, all these abuses. They would remain invisible without the work of the journalists.
May I add, I read that many media organizations like ISF, IFJ, and others, they release a lot of statement and urging for call for action. But in your situation, when a foreign media outlet is still sending their reporter in the war zone, or they're reluctant, or any kind of missing, like forgiving, not to be there, just to report the story, not for the local media, but for the foreign media outlet.
The problem in Gaza is that the foreign press, the foreign journalists are not allowed to enter Gaza. So that's what makes it even more difficult. Basically, and we know that in the wartime, each parties in the conflict would try to curb, to repress the journalists, because most of the time the military doesn't want journalists to enter and to tell what's happening in the war context.
Of course, but foreign media, they still have some like local reporter working there for them, right? But it's not really easy for them to work, right? Like it's a lot of danger.
Yeah, and many foreign press have been trying to evacuate their staff who are still in Gaza, but this is also very, very difficult to evacuate journalists because of all the restrictions imposed on the journalists.
So
Okay, I just noticed that Pika's earring is very catchy today. the peace sign, right? It's good for today.
Only small symbol that we can do, right? We really certainly not know what else that the rest of the world could do. We read a lot of things going on at the United Nations, this and that. A little bit not hopeful, right? But not sure, not certain. But at least many people try to solve this conflict, and the role of media and communication play a very important role. But of course, without the forefront media on the ground, in this day, you know that we have a lot of information warfare and a lot of like disinformations going on. So how the situation it is happening without a journalist working there, but in the social media world, how you observe the situation in foreign language media, or in the forefront of the online forefront, because in Thailand we just experience a tension conflict between Thai and Cambodia. We would say, fortunately, our reporter and journalists are not yet harmed from this conflict, but many innocent civilians were attacked, and that's a lot of tragedies happens already here for us, and it's still a trauma going on. The lack of trust and a lot of distrust and fear that from we experience the real conflict, but imagine what's happening there, and a lot of rumors and information warfare is going on. So it must be tough for people who following news, right? from outside the country. Yeah, so how the disinformation and information warfare, as you observed?
So yeah, so basically what we observe is propaganda from diverse sources, or a surge in disinformation with terrible and very concrete consequences. I'd say that in Gaza nowadays, disinformation doesn't just mislead, it also kills journalists directly. We've been working on monitoring the social media to understand the narratives, and what we found is actually it's a very recent investigation released last week by our colleagues of RSF at the RSF Middle East desk. They have investigated a deliberate campaign of discredit by the Israeli army against the Palestinian journalists. So for instance, it started from photo montages we found on social media showing journalists' faces with a target over them and accompanied with calls to kill them. These journalists were, so we approached people who were disseminating these images. We wanted to know what were their motivation, and they said these journalists are terrorists, but never produced any proof for this very, for this alarming statement. And so yeah, there's an ongoing campaign of people on social media using baseless accusations to create the conditions of murder. What we observe nowadays is that there's unchecked Israeli propaganda painting reporters as enemies, as spies, as terrorists, to make attacks against the journalists easier to justify.
Yeah, of course, when there's a conflict and between two sides, it's very difficult. Even we don't want to take part on either side. So that's why we need a third party, especially foreign media to be in, right? At least they could be impartial source. But since they could not go in, that's the more difficult in the beginning. So it seemed no way out. So you see any tangible solution for this happening right now, especially for the situation we're focusing on the reporters, truth, who bringing us the truth to the world. Any solution for this situation from RSF experience perspective, what you are expecting, or you have any call for action to anyone?
Yeah, so we have been, of course, engaging with many parties on different layers to improve the conditions of journalists on the ground. And we have clear demands. We want a protection of Palestinian journalists. We want the access also, independent access for the foreign press to Gaza, but we also want evacuation opportunities for the journalists who are currently trapped inside Gaza. So first, given the terrible situation, what we need first is the protection of the journalists. And to dive into our current strategies, we try to target all the level of society. We engage with the public, with the media, with the states, with the international organizations. We often engage in major communication campaigns to raise the public awareness of what's happening currently in Gaza. About that, we had also a communication campaign last month, because it was just ahead of the UN General Assembly earlier this month. We mobilized 280 media across 50 countries around the world for global media action. These 280 media, they displayed a black page either on the print or their website. And there was also TV, radio, broadcasting messages. The main message for this action that was that at the rate the right journalists are being killed in Gaza by the Israeli army, there will soon be no one left to keep the public informed. We also had media from Thailand participating, such for instance, Prachatai. All around Asia, there was media participating, either in Tibet, Mongolia, Vietnam, Indonesia. So that was very successful and meaningful also, because I think nowadays it's difficult to know what to do to support journalists, and for the press, also for the foreign journalists, it was important action to take. Also sharing our demands for protection of Palestinian journalists. And so that is on the public side to raise awareness, but we of course also do more institutional advocacy, notably towards the states, towards the international organizations. And we, for instance, take legal action at the international level to ask for justice. And for instance, since October 2023, RSF has filed 4 complaints before the International Criminal Court in The Hague, in Netherlands. RSF is the only organization that has filed 4 complaints before the ICC. And in the common point of our complaints is to urge for investigations into what RSF considers as war crimes committed by the Israeli army against the journalists in Gaza. In each of our complaints, we meticulously document cases of killings and injuries. And we also insist that the ICC must investigate, of course, all the journalists that are being killed or injured. The latest update we have from the ICC that the investigations for these 4 cases are ongoing. And we know that the ICC prosecutor confirmed to us that these crimes against journalists fall into its mandate in Palestine. So now we have to wait for the investigation to be made. We also engage with filling victim participation forms to the ICC. And for that, the purpose is for Gazan journalists to be recognized as victims with the right to truth, to justice, to reparations. So the journalists would be able to present before the ICC, the International Criminal Court, and they can direct the personal harm they suffered. All what we do in terms of legal action is basically to make impunity to end, to ensure that those who order or carry the crimes against journalists are held accountable before the international justice.
All right, so actually there's a lot of international law from ICRC, from the Geneva Convention, that journalists must be protected as civilian, the journalists in the war zone. Yeah, but it still happened nowadays, still happened. And you said that ICC should investigate the thing. And what do you think what can happen after the investigation? Who going to be punished, or the Israeli going to be punished, or anyone going to be got sentenced by ICC, or what's actually going to be happened after the investigation?
Yeah, exactly. As you said, is what we want is to ensure that the perpetrators of these attacks are identified and sentenced, because it's the mandate of the International Criminal Court to punish the responsible for crimes under international law. So that's why we filed complaints against before the international justice. More than that, also what we want is these crimes never to happen again. What we want is to establish a broader and more protective legal framework within the international law. What we need is to protect the fundamental rights for people to access information, and to guarantee also journalist safety in conflict zone, because we see that the current framework is not sufficient, and the situation is showing actually the need for an improvement of the international law.
Yeah, and also many journalists who's died in the Gaza, also because of the disinformation. Yep, because disinformation it strips journalists of their protections as civilians, right? So, how does the spread of disinformation and propaganda make the work of journalists even more dangerous, in your view?
So this information, yeah, we tend to see it's only like on the platforms, but it have very tangible, very concrete effects, and it can lead to journalists getting killed. As I said, actually, so we've been, as RSF, identifying a pattern by the Israeli army to target, to portray journalists as terrorists without any evidence. This is a very clear instance of disinformation, of propaganda that have very concrete effects. I was mentioning earlier the killing of the last month of the Al Jazeera correspondent, Anas al-Sharif. He was portrayed by the Israeli army for months as a terrorist affiliated without any evidence. He was killed in a targeted attack. So yeah, I think this is a very concrete example of how a smear campaign is leading to a very concrete crime, in this case, killing. I want also to highlight the fact that at RSF we are very clear that a journalist cannot be a combatant, cannot carry weapons, cannot take part in acts of violence. So we do very thoughtful work on being clear on the cases that fall in our work, and we do work with the journalists on the ground to be sure how we are protecting also. So yeah, I think.
Yeah, as you say, for me, it weakens public sympathy, and reduces some intentional pressure when they're killed, right? And also, it leaves those still reporting more isolated, and it casts doubt on the truth of the work. Yeah, which is exactly what the attackers want.
Absolutely. What is the direct consequence of these smear campaigns is also to demeaning the work of the journalists. So the clear intention is to attack their credibility, to attack their legitimacy. So yeah, this is the broader strategy of the Israeli army.
Yeah. So talking.
Okay. How about the social media platform or tech company, which mostly based in the United States?
Yeah.
In terms of like countering disinformation, propaganda, or being neutralities or algorithms. You observe any kind of this, or you have any recommendation or call for action to the tech company as well in this regard?
Yeah, so this is a broader issue. The disinformation by the tech companies is broader than Gaza itself. But of course, nowadays with the social media platforms, there's a clear lack of accountability of the platforms, because in most of context they are not held responsible for the content display. For what I mentioned earlier, the smear campaigns against journalists are displayed, transmitted through the social media, and the big tech, the big platforms, as you said, mostly based in the US, they do not respond to any accountability. They don't share any responsibility, and this is also what we do at RSF, is to engage with the states to establish a framework that is taking into account the responsibility of the platforms.
Okay, we mentioned about United States. We're talking about United Nations, and then of course, I believe media organization addressing something statement or call for action against the United States as well, because regardless of political stand on the conflict, but they believe in the freedom of the press and First Amendment. So not certain how media organization in the United States play a role in this call for action to protect the journalists on the ground in Gaza.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is something we are working on. We have also an office with our colleagues in Washington working on this very specific issue. And in the end, what we want in RSF is that we need to combat disinformation and to protect journalists. And we want to promote the very idea that independent reporting is the strongest antidote against disinformation and propaganda.
Okay, so
okay.
maybe คำถามท้ายแล้วเนาะ
ครับ
Come
And
to maybe final question.
yeah, maybe we go to the fifth questions for today. So about the public roles, yep, on this International Days of Peace, how can individuals and organizations support press freedom and the work of independent journalists?
So I think first it's very important for people to understand that the attacks occurring right now against journalists in Gaza, they don't only target the press, but they target actually the public itself. It's also the public's right to access reliable information that is attacked. And it's important to remind people that actually individuals can act, people can follow, can share, amplify the work of independent journalists, especially the journalists reporting in conflict zones. It's also possible for the individuals to support the news outlets, to support the media by, for instance, subscribing, to donating. There's a range of actions for the individual to use. The people can also speak out publicly against attack against journalists. People can share about disinformation, the smear campaigns against journalists. So the people as a community can understand what's happening. And also it's important to remind that I think individuals are never stronger than when they unite as in organizations. So that's also why we call on organizations, for instance, NGOs, the media, but also businesses to take a stance because they have a crucial role. The organizations can extend the solidarity, for instance, to host the journalists in exile, to offering also resources or equipment or trainings. And organizations can also push their own government to make the attacks against press freedom a central part of their policy. So I think also it's the main part to pressure the governments to take concrete actions. The governments they are very careful of the public opinion and to put the protection of journalists on their agenda is also something the public can do. And that's why we need to push the governments to fund emergency support, protective mechanisms for the journalists.
Yeah, actually for me, I believe public roles is twofold. Yep. First is about the solidarity with those who are risking their lives. And second is the action to prevent the further harm. Solidarity and action. Yeah. So we, as a public, we should demand for the transparency and also insisting on protection and refusing the complicity in silence. This is very important. Being silent is like ignorance. As is our duty as a journalist, we have to do something about it, to work on it, to refusing complicity in silence is one of the most important things. Pike, do you have anything to add about this? As a
Not
Cofact and the fact checker.
Actually rather speechless that we realize that it's I don't know what to say, but it's sad to see many people die, and especially if they are like civilians and innocent civilians, and especially the reporter and journalists, they are dying their duty. That's already sad. And more sad, the most saddest is if we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. That it even hopeless, but we still hope that change will bring to Gaza, to the conflict zone. And we do support the role of United Nations, whoever try to solve the conflict. But this day, when the conflict or the political conflict still going on between both sides, but at least we should protect the messenger always. Don't kill the messenger. That's still work, because we need someone to tell us the truth, especially for the whole world. But it seems idealistic right now, right? But yeah, for today's International Day of Peace, at least we can try to do something to raise the voice and concern for this. And actually, with our deepest condolences to those who die and their families in Gaza. And yeah, at least there we can light a candle. Why we complaining about these problems? We still want to have a hope for the solution in this regard. And we'd like to thank you so much for Reporter Without Border for your job. That's a lot of you have been doing, from legal actions to advocacy. I think that means a lot for a lot of people who feel really hopeless. We observed the situation in Rwanda in the past, and even after World War, and it's ironically that it happens right now, right? The victims of the World War II and the victims right now in this 20-25 years. So speechless, but yeah, hopefully hope for the better and hope for the peaceful resolution. And yeah, that's my word for today. And for
All
you,
right.
Deep, and maybe
Yeah.
for Atul for the final word for today before we are saying goodbye.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Well, as you said, Supinya, message will be don't kill the messenger. We need messengers, and especially today for International Day of Peace, we need to remind that peace is not possible without the truth. The journalists are the ones who document war crimes. The journalists are the ones who expose abuses, and they are the one who remind the world of the human cost of wars, of violence in the world. So we need to defend the journalists. We need to defend the right to report. We need to defend also our collective right to know as individuals. That's only how we can establish the foundation for justice and peace.
Exactly. Deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a very, very short one. Yeah. Just being a fact checker yourself for the audience, for news reader, and also for being journalists, sharing verified reports and refusing to spread unverified claims. That's it. That can help journalists a lot.
Yeah, okay. If you are like general people, at least sympathy for those who
Yeah.
lost their life. If we share more sympathy and compassion, maybe it can bring more peaceful resolution to the world. And hopefully, not only in Gaza, maybe in other conflict zones as well. So may peace prevail and safety be with all of you. Okay. Thank you so much, Atu and Kittipat, for joining us tonight
Very
and Sunday
welcome.
evening.
Very welcome.
Have a good sleep and have a energetic for the coming week, and hopefully we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Okay,ค่ะ.
I also
Saying
have it, but
goodbye.
still didn't like it.
Saying goodbye by another song, and bye-bye for tonight.
Thank you very
บ๊ายบาย
much.
ครับ สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
ผู้คนต้องล้มตายเพราะสงครามที่กลืนหายเราจะทำให้ได้เพื่อฉันและเพื่อเธอจะรักษาโลกให้มันดูสดใสด้วยรักที่สวยงามเพื่อเธอและฉันและคนทั่วไปไม่มีผู้คนต้องล้มตายเพราะสงครามที่กลืนหายเราจะทำให้ได้เพื่อฉันและเพื่อเธอไม่มีผู้คนต้องล้มตายเพราะสงครามที่กลืนหาย ฉันและเพื่อเธอไม่มีผู้คนต้องล้มตายเพราะสงครามที่เกลื่อนหายเราจะทำให้ได้เพื่อฉันและ